Hi, it's Joe Mindak with Park Bench Westfield. I'm here with Mayor Brindle, Mayor of Westfield.
Thrilled to be here, Joe.
Thanks for coming. I know you have a busy schedule and a lot more busy than I am.
Appreciate the invitation.
So we just wanted you to come by, and we're just having conversations with different businesses. And I know you're very pro-business in town, and you come from an executive position at HBO. So just want to kind of have a conversation about, what brought you to become mayor? Why would you want to do that? I ran for council. It was crazy in Hoboken, but why the heck would you run for mayor?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I have those days too. As you mentioned, so I was at HBO for 27 years and really developed a fairly successful career there, being known as kind of the in-house innovator and entrepreneur within the company, and working in the media space at a time when there was so much disruption and change in the industry. It was naturally suited to me, because always trying to figure out how HBO was going to make money in light of ever-changing times. And so I left there when I was running our U.S. business and decided it wasn't the only thing I want to be remembered for. So I decided to leave back in 2016 and really wanted to apply what my experience had been to something that I think would deliver a greater good. Never in a gazillion years did I think that would involve politics or running for office. I was working with a lot of entrepreneurs, very passionate about female entrepreneurs in particular, talking about creating cultures of innovation, did a lot of public speaking, etc. But that enabled me to spend time in Westfield in a way. I'd been here for 24 years at the time.
Wow.
I had 3 kids in the schools, but I was no longer commuting in the city every day, and I was able to interact with our town in a way I really was never able to do when I was busy doing the other things. So I don't know, it's almost like I saw it with fresh eyes, being here on a Wednesday morning with nobody in it, and I was like, oh my gosh, here I am, talking to everybody else about how to drive innovation in their businesses, and I feel like there's a huge opportunity to drive innovation in our own town, especially in light of all the disruption that's happening with online shopping and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's exciting. That's why I ran for council, because I was like, all the stuff that I've been doing in business and everything, how do you take that to what can you do with the town and build it up, and it's exciting. So I've been happy. We moved here 2 years ago, and I've been trying to get involved in town and do at Adams Fest and everything, and it's been just really a breath of fresh air to be here with people like yourself and everyone that's embracing, what can you do? Can you bring your talents to the table, and let's get everyone together and really build up great things. Like Adams Fest was awesome. I think it was a great event.
And that was one of what you just said is exactly one of my first observations. When I realized I wanted to make a contribution, I was like, the only way I could really drive the change is if I was mayor, and that's I was like, oh god, okay, I went and jumped right in. But one of the biggest observations that you have is that we are a town full of incredibly talented and committed people. The intellectual capital in our town is amazing. So it's when you run a municipal government, you can't rely on just the few people that run it. You actually have to rely on the people in your town. So that's what we've been actively doing since you came here. Tapping into the talent and trying to bring them to the table to leverage their experience.
And you could see that, how it's benefiting, and see all the people that are engaged and doing stuff, and I want to get involved, I want to do something. So it's really working well.
Good. And then we accomplished what we wanted to do.
Yeah, it's good.
So that's been really incredible fun part of the job, is watching that happen.
And what are some other ideas about in the business of town? I know people talk about vacancy. I think that's just the problem with retail all around. It's hard to keep people, but I know the brewery's coming in. There's other things. We talked about a sports bar maybe coming to town. What are some other things that are coming up that are exciting?
There's lots of exciting things. I think what's really interesting, and one of the reasons I ran, I was a bit frustrated about the lack of proactivity that had not happened previously to respond to a changing industry, right? Yes, online shopping is happening, but it's happening everywhere, and I'm big on disruption, and that you have to lean into disruption to figure out how it's going to work for you. You don't wait for it to happen to you. So to that end, and to your point, there's lots of Adams Fest was created to actually drive foot traffic in town for our business. It happens to be a great community event too, but it was really about helping our businesses. So the solution, there's short-term things that are happening, like what you mentioned, like changing ordinances to allow things like breweries and rooftop dining, and those are things we can do in the short term. But we're also most importantly, working on a strategic plan for the town, which should be completed by the end of December, which is really going to lay out a 20-year vision for where we want to go. And it's going to, following that will be zoning changes that enable the vision to happen. So
great.
next year is going to be a very transformative year, with the biggest opportunity, I think, to improve businesses is to create more commercial space in town to allow employers here to actually drive foot traffic through daytime foot traffic through having employees here that eat, drink, and shop on a Monday through Sunday basis, not just a weekend basis.
Yeah, no, that would be great. And I think driving traffic to downtown, I think the music night, jazz night, really was great this year, as opposed to others. Again, I was just told the first year, but this year I was there at least 4 or 5 times because it was such a great night on a Tuesday night, and you close the street down.
That was key.
And that was very key.
That was an experiment for us this year, because historically, I guess they had closed Quimby the first night and the last night, and after the first night this year, we all looked at each other and were like, okay, why aren't we doing this every Tuesday night? So we really made a split-second decision in collaboration with our police chief, who was like all for it. And you saw what it did. It gave people a sense, and what we really need is a gathering space for our community. And that will be part of the master plan, to create the green spaces and gathering spaces and places where we can all really enjoy each other's company.
And I was so impressed that it was done so quickly, right? Because coming from, I was in Hoboken doing things, trying to get things done, but and I was there, I think, that week, and you were like, yeah, we should do this every week, and next week it was done, and I was like, how do you get that done so quick? It was like awesome. So things like that to happen are so great.
And going back to my business background, and I think, you hear about government and the wheels churn slowly and everything, but I'm on a mission to make things happen really quickly. And actually, the brewery is a good example of that. We didn't allow, there was an ordinance that did not allow breweries in town. They were only allowed like on the outskirts of town. And when we met someone who was interested in opening a brewery, we're like, let's make this happen. So within a month, we changed the ordinance in town to allow a brewery. Then it turns out we allowed them right into a certain zoning district. Then the couple tells us the location where they bought it actually didn't fall within that zoning. So we actually did another new ordinance to enable it. So that's what needs to happen. And that's really, honestly, the funnest part about being mayor. If you could get everybody aligned in that vision, you can drive change. And hopefully you've seen some of that happen.
No, I've seen it. And I've seen a couple of people that have opened businesses here, and talking to Rory this morning, very happy, and now expanding, and it's really working. So
and we will get there.
And now next year is the 100th anniversary. So what's going on there?
300th anniversary.
300th.
Yes. So Westfield was settled in 1720, which is crazy. So we just kicked off our steering committee for the Westfield 300 celebration, and it's not just a one-time event. It's going to be a whole annual event of celebrating our anniversary through different anything from lectures to parties to events to special merchandise. And so we've got a logo, we've got a steering committee, and we think it's probably going to be kicked off with some big outdoor music event in probably the spring, and then it's going to close out with some big event probably around the holidays and everything in between.
Well, I used to run big music fest, remember, in Hoboken, so I'm happy to help and get going on that.
We have a whole list of people that are going to be pulling in on that, so we expect it to be fireworks out the whole day. It was something like the town has never seen before.
Awesome. All right, I'm excited.
Well,
thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. I know you have to get back quick. And
this is great. Anything we can do to promote our fantastic town, I'm all in.
Well, I hope this is going to, Park Bench, it's parkbench.com/Westfield, and it's going to be all about promoting businesses and helping get people together and understand who's in town, what type of businesses, and just getting people to come downtown more and really embrace it, and not just downtown, all the businesses in town. So we encourage everyone to come and do it. So thanks again, Mayor, for being on Park Bench Westfield. We really appreciate it. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. And I'd like to invite anybody who's watching to please come to Westfield, check out our amazing restaurants and shops and our beautiful downtown. We have events all the time. So please, I welcome to our town, and happy to give you a personal visit if you're willing to come and take a look around and potentially invest in our community.